taking time out of their schedules. The Pearl City Neighborhood Board hopes that everyone had a really nice Thanksgiving with their family and friends. This is our last meeting of the month. We've got some really good business to tend to, so we can set up our legislators here for next year for getting those bills through. So starting right off, I'll talk about our time policy and procedures. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to open the list of participants and click in the raise hand icon by their name. When recognized by the chair, address comments to the chair. Remarks should not exceed more than 3 minutes. Please cancel the raise hand icon after speaking. Presentations must be kept under 10 minutes. And the chat box is available if you want to send any questions here to our NCO rep. And okay, and now we'll go on to a and now I'll go on a roll call. Cooney Agard is not here today. Okay, Rodney A. Wong. Charmaine Duran.
Here.
Guy Inouye.
Here.
Brendan Lee.
Here.
Dion Mesta. Dion Mesta. Junior Miyazano. Dan Smith.
Present.
Nathan Takiguchi. Tony Velasco.
Here.
And myself, Larry Verre. Okay, we have 9 board members. We have quorum. Okay, moving on. First part here is public safety reports. Honolulu Fire Department. Yeah, we just had the ambulance and fire department responding, and I can hear the sirens. So if they do show up, we'll bring them in at any time. Honolulu Police Department, are you there?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I have a point of order before the police department?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to amend tonight's agenda.
Yes.
Can we move item 5G up in the agenda before 5B? We have several resolutions pertaining to the Hawaiian Cemetery and the Sunset Memorial Park. I think it's more appropriate that we hear the committee report from that special town hall meeting before we bring such resolutions to the floor.
Okay, and Brendan, I'll move that up to prior to our first resolution A. Is that okay with you?
Without objection. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for bringing it up, and that's a smart move. Okay, Honolulu Police Department. Okay, hearing none. Okay, anybody with any issues you want to bring up to our officials, Pearl City Neighborhood Board? You got 3 minutes. And I think we have one person that had told me she wanted something to say. Are you on virtual? Julie Chang? Okay, Ray, Jaden Liu?
Hi, Chair Verre, members of the board. It's great to see everybody again. I wanted to express concern regarding the Sunset Memorial. Not only is it a big undertaking, but it requires thoughtful consideration as to the investment that you folks will be making onto that property. And I know Chair Verre has been taking great strides in the right direction of unlocking the trust fund that's currently not being utilized, unfortunately. But it really disturbed me by the fact that HECO is willing to invest $3 million onto solar panels to not only cover up what is left there in terms of human remains and the magnitude of that situation, but also it requires the city and the state to really work together and find a conclusion that is not only within the interest of themselves, but also the interest of the people who are buried there and their family members. And so I think, in my honest opinion and in layman's terms, it is a huge slap to the face that HECO would come in there and say, we are willing to invest $3 million when the city can't even keep up with maintaining the property. It is complete, utter disrespect in my terms. And I've heard many people raise their own concern, and especially from the family members of whose loved ones that are buried there. And so I asked the board to really consider all the different options, and not only in terms of unlocking the trust fund, but also providing a way forward that meets the needs of everyone involved and all the stakeholders, not just for-profit interests. Thank you.
All right, Jane, thank you for your remarks and the importance of what we are trying to do with this board and working with our officials to try to get that trust fund, as well as looking at other options that, the solar panels, that was brought up as an option. And I'll talk more about that later. Any other questions, board members? Anything you want to bring up in this area? Okay. Julie Chang, are you in yet? She sent me an email that she wanted to bring something up. Okay, I don't hear you. Okay, so we're going to move on. We got one presentation tonight, a proposal for Pearl Highlands Storage Facility. And I think it's going to be Mr. Greg Serrano that's going to give the presentation. Greg, are you there?
Yes, I am, Chairman.
Okay, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. So I also have Bryce Uhara, the project architect, along with Michael Usa, who is our land use attorney for this project. I'm going to share my screen. Are you seeing the slideshow?
Yeah, you're coming up now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're up.
All right. Thank you very much. Great to be back. This is a project that we initially did a presentation on at the June neighborhood board meeting. We have since evolved our plans and improved them, and think that we've really got something good here, and wanted to get everyone's input on the 3 different improvements we're proposing. And they all have minor changes, but the way it'll feel is quite different. So here's the parcel here. It is on the intersection of Acacia and Koala Street. It is quite a busy intersection, as we know, surrounded by commercial uses. Here's an aerial shot of the parcel in red. The new transit station is down here, and all the shopping centers and various. Just showing the current conditions of the site. It is being used as vehicle storage for a auto sales company. It's quite passive. We have heard that there are complaints that the parcel's been overgrown, and that is something we are hoping to fix and make sure it does not continue, along with various other improvements. This is the initial design that was presented in June. As you can see, it is the ground floor with parking, storage, an office, and loading spaces, and then just vegetation and planting. Elevations here, nothing too ornamental, but this was looked upon favorably as it's a passive use and a good improvement for a site that is currently used as surface parking. From our conversations with DPP and working this in the special district permit for the TOD zone, as Acacia's Koala is a key street, really brainstormed how we can incorporate more community benefits into our design. From our various brainstormings, the community benefits we came up with were a community garden, community connectivity, a dog park, a commercial retail space, some public parking, bicycle accommodations and parking, a public mini plaza, street trees, and enhanced landscaping. You can see various examples of these proposed community benefits, and I can always go back in the presentation after I get through everything. From these ideas that we played with, Bryce and his team were able to put together 3 different options for us. They vary in the different aspects of how big the community garden is, such as option 1. We have a connectivity walkway from Acacia down into the parcel with stairs and a full walkway connecting you to Koala. This has about 60 garden beds that are for public use and community use. These garden beds average about 100 square feet each. In addition to that, we have a small plaza here, a commercial retail space, which we are tentatively proposing as a bike repair or bike sales space. We're trying to incorporate some type of passive use here as to not create more congestion and traffic to the site. And we think a bike retailer would be perfect. In addition to this, there is bicycle parking and a proposed 10 public parking spaces. Option 2, we essentially remove some of the community garden beds and incorporate a small dog park here at the front of the site. This was another option that we played with as just seeing what would be more popular, the community garden beds, the dog park, and just kind of playing with that forward. And then we have option 3. From our discussions, we really felt like a larger dog park would be utilized more. So we increased the size of it. We kept the walkway through the site. We incorporated benches and seating along the walkway. We expanded the plaza at the front to incorporate more benches, more bicycle parking, and we pushed the commercial retail aspect back. This was something that our traffic assessment stated we were going to have some issues with sight lines from the Acacia Koala intersection. So by setting this back, we open up that viewpoint to the entrance of our parcel. And then on the right, as you can see, is 2 updated elevations, much more ornamental, much more appealing to look at, and the human scaled architecture is significantly improved from what we previously proposed. And then one of the big things that I know everyone is curious about is traffic. Is this going to create a significant load of traffic due to its location and its vicinity to that intersection? Self-storage is actually one of the lowest traffic impact uses there are. People typically visit their storage unit once every 3 months after they move in. So as you can see, the total projected trips on a Saturday peak hour would be 40, and that is between 27 for the storage use and 13 for the sporting goods stores. We have a summary of our full traffic assessment that we can share for anyone to view and read if they'd like. But essentially, it states that the findings that based on current conditions, our project is not going to create any hardship or any issue for this intersection and roadway. And then below is a map. This is our project's driveway here. We are currently tentatively proposing right in, right out, and a left out. We understand that this may cause issue, and based on review and feedback, we understand that this may just be a right in, right out situation. We want to make this a non-issue completely. And then in regards to the major special district permit process, this is our second time presenting to you all. We sent notice to all adjoining property owners as required. We've had numerous pre-app meetings, which is kind of how the plans have evolved to have all these community benefits. From there, we look to submit our application. It'll be reviewed. There will be a public hearing after 45 days of review. Everyone that owns a property within 300 feet of the parcel will get another notice stating that this public hearing is happening. And then based on that public hearing, we will get a recommendation of approval, denial, or approval with conditions. And then hopefully final approval. And if anyone would like to see some of our other facilities located on the East Coast where I live, these are some of our past 4 projects where we've incorporated a mural on the side of the building. That was an adaptive reuse of a historic building, and the mural was something that Baltimore City really wanted there. The top right, that community really wanted an office building look, so we absolutely made that happen. Top left, this was a historic warehouse where they wanted to keep the brick facade, and we were able to make that happen as well. And the bottom left was a brand new complete build with parking on that first floor, similar to our site is going to have. And that is all I have. If anyone has any questions or would like to see any of the slides again.
Okay, Greg, thank you for getting through this thing in 7 minutes. That's really good. Board members, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I'm glad to hear one comment. I'm glad to hear that you folks are bringing right in and right out only. A concern of mine. That's a downhill blind curve coming down off of Acacia. So I'm glad to hear that you folks are considering right in, right out only. My one question is the stairway, the community stairway off of Acacia. Is that stairway going to be gated or is it going to be open 24/7?
It'll be open 24/7. Likely the only gate will be right here. Do you see where my cursor is? Just so no one can, cut through there's a retaining wall here and about a 20-foot grade train from this side to where the building will be. So the gate will probably be just here, so no one gets in this whole kind of alleyway. But the walkway from Acacia to Koala will be open 24/7.
Thank you.
Hey, board members, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. For our officials, community, any questions?
Chair, we have our hands raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not in that full view. Oh, stop sharing the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
We couldn't see the hands raised. There we go. And I think, okay, Charmaine?
Oh, God.
Sorry, Guy, you're
Wait,
second.
Go ahead, Guy. You can go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's all right.
I actually, I had a question regarding, first I want to say thank you for answering all my questions in email, and because you guys have really been available to all my many questions. And thank you for being here again, since this is one of the very first TOD projects. I don't know if this is for you or for the city, if we have somebody from the city, but I actually have 2 questions. One, I know a low impact bike sporting store commercial space is what's planned, but I wanted to find out what the parameters to change that is, because this building is going to be there for a long, long time, and a bike shop might not last, and something else could have much more traffic going in and out. And the other thing is, I wanted to know, whatever the community benefit ends up being, will those be maintained and managed by you, or will they be managed by the city and a nonprofit, or what's your plan right now today?
If I can answer to that one, Greg. Charmaine, we've kind of started
Absolutely.
touching base with certain groups around town. I guess I've spoken with Parks and Recreation about the garden aspect. I've reached out to a few pet clinic owners as far as potential contacts for people who may be interested in adopting or sponsoring the dog park facility. And I think in the discussions that we had when we met the other week, you had mentioned that community garden might not be as big of a desired use as the dog park would be. Is that correct? So I think that's one of the takeaways that DPP had let us know. They said, well, take it back to the board. Let's see what kind of preference they may have for a preferred type of use. And I'm just going to add one thing about that stair in the back too, that community connectivity is one of the iconic basic improvements that they're trying to achieve in the whole TOD discussion. So being that this is one of the first different types of uses within a TOD major permit, I think they're looking at it very carefully, and I think I'm in with the program. I think it's a good program, and the community benefits and the enhancements I think are going to be beneficial to the whole community.
And Charmaine, going off of your concern about the retail use being used for something different, this is going to be a very long-term hold for us. As the owners of the facility, we would never put a retail use there that is going to cause issue. The bike shop, that's a very walkable, people will bike there, the hope is. Get their bike repaired, then they'll either park their bike there and walk to the transit station. But we're very conscious of what retail use can go there, whether it be a shipping and postage store that's privately owned, things of that nature that wouldn't drive major traffic. The facility, we're offering 10 public parking spaces in addition to parking for the facility. There's no parking requirement in the TOD district, but we're not going to have all of our parking spots filled by putting a micro grocery store there. We're very conscious of that.
Okay, Guy?
Let's see, a little off the ways, on the other side by Home Depot, there's a storage area, pretty large one. And then down the street, about 3/4 of a mile down, there's another one, or maybe a little bit more. What's your anticipated usage of that storage? You anticipate 100%, 80, 70, or?
We've reached out to both Public Storage and Extra Space. Public Storage owns the 2 facilities that you just mentioned. Extra Space owns a few facilities outside of that direct area. Both of those management companies, who we would anticipate using one of them, anticipate this to get to a 92% occupancy. That's typically, you would expect it to get to 90% in 3 or 4 years because there's leasing seasons, but both of them think that we'll lease this up relatively quickly. Public Storage did acknowledge that they really don't have many larger units right now available. They really just have smaller units. And for someone that wants to maybe move a 2-bedroom kind of situation into a storage unit, they can't accommodate that at all times of the year. So we do anticipate this being needed, especially with, multifamily buildings and the units getting smaller. People need somewhere to put their items.
In anticipation of that type of occupancy, how does the state benefit dollar-wise? Does a percentage go back, like if you folks fill it X amount?
Property taxes, that's really the big push. And I believe storage facilities are assessed higher than most other retail uses. I don't know the exact economics off the top of my head at this time, but I do know that we will pay our property taxes in full.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jermaine?
Is there somebody from the city here?
Is anybody from Transit Area Development?
Yes, this is Tim Strites. I'm the TOD administrator.
Hi,
Hello,
Tim. Thank
Tim.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually have a question, and I thank you for being here. This is kind of like the first TOD project or proposal that we've actually really talked about. Sometimes, and this is not just for this project, it's just, development throughout the island. People come through and they get permits and approvals, and then they turn around and not do them. And they might flip the property and so I'm trying to find out, and I asked if there's like deadlines or anything that would make sure that the development is taking place in an orderly and timely fashion. Or does it kind of just sit for 20 years as we've seen before as the economy goes in and out?
Well, like Greg mentioned, this is the first major TOD special district permit that we're processing. So there might be a little bit of a learning curve, but I think based on our experience with the more intense plan development transit permit, we do associate timelines and kind of those thresholds within the conditions of approval, so that if a project has been approved and there's been no movement on it to obtain like building permits, then it would expire after a certain amount of time without having a special request for an extension of time by the director, or in those cases, the city council. So we would tie it to probably a similar type of mechanism. And then as far as making sure that the benefits are provided, we enter into an agreement with the project developer, and those will be also part of the conditions of approval. And so they would be enforceable if they're found in non-compliance. We can issue orders for that.
Do we know how long? Like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
As far as
Where the development actually has to take place? Because sometimes these things happen, right? They just sit for a long, long time.
Right. So that would.
And just so you know, the reason I'm asking is because 10 years from now, the needs of the community might change.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they've been specifying 3 years timeframes in the plan development transit permits, which are more intensive type of projects. And then you can ask for a 1-year extension from the director, or after that, go back to the city council for additional extension of time. So we'll probably follow something similar, since that's kind of, the acquiring permits isn't always fast, and that's something that TPP is working on. So we know there's a lot of like financing that goes into these projects, and we don't want to kill the project just because there was stuff working behind the scenes, and some short-term time frame interfered with that. But we do set it at a reasonable time that that we, based on other projects that we think will work for both sides.
Okay. Jaden, you got a question?
Yeah, how much is being invested into this project, and how much of that investment are you planning on paying for property taxes and other taxes to the city?
Property taxes are not fully figured out yet, because through this special district process, we're requesting a higher FAR. So based upon that approval, the amount of square footage we'll have will change. But it's a pretty significant amount. I believe it's in the $150,000 range a year. And that's not inclusive of all the community benefits that we're putting on the site and paying for out of pocket to make this
Okay.
project doable.
And who is the main investor in this project?
Right now, it is just my company, Paverny Sheet Group. We are the developer. We have not raised any equity outside of us. We have not identified a bank lender. Not to say that we don't have interested parties, but until we get through the special district permit process and then into land development, we don't raise equity for things this far in advance.
Do you guys have any other projects you guys completed on Oahu, or is it all on the mainland?
It's all on the mainland right now. We are actively seeking 2 other projects to get under contract. And as for construction, we are looking to use 2 local firms. One has developed numerous grocery stores on the island, and the other has built and is actively building 3 other self-storage facilities on Oahu. And they're planning to use a mix of union labor and non-union labor.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? Okay, seeing no
Chair.
hands. Oh,
Chair,
Yes,
because we do video minutes now, and this is our first project, and there's a community benefit aspect, I'm going to ask that NCO include this entire discussion in our minutes.
okay.
Thank you.
He just nodded his head, yes. Plus, I'm going to get him the presentation, which I failed to get it over to him when I did the read ahead email. Okay, moving to our audience, our officials and community. Any questions on this project? Okay, hearing none. Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. And Tim, thank you for making time for the Pearl City Neighborhood Board.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Chair.
moving on, and we have HPD had connected.
Chair,
Hopefully
can I
they're
ask
still
one
on.
question? Do
Okay.
you need me to send that presentation over to you?
I have it. I'll send it over to him.
Okay.
Thank you. HPD, are you up? Okay, we got you. But you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
We got you loud and clear.
Okay, sorry, yeah. I was on the October WebEx for some reason, so I got the correct one. But so reported incidents last month, motor vehicle thefts was 9. This month we had 5. Burglaries, 7 last month, 1 for this month. Thefts went up from 18 to 33 this month. And car break-ins, we had 8 last month, 7 this month. So total calls for service was 6,205 last month. This one is 5,840 for the District 3 over here, Pro City. Are there any questions for HPD?
Okay, thank you for the updates. I know I've been tracking part of the Neighborhood Security Watch program, tracking some of the car break-ins. There was actually one this morning, yesterday morning here in the Pearl City area. And I put that out on social media. But board members, any questions for HPD? Hearing nothing from the board. Anything from the community? Okay, and one last bit of information here. We're coming into Christmas and New Year's, and of course we know New Year's, it's like a war zone. And it's too bad that a lot of our families have had to suffer over these months with their pets, their babies, the elderly, with the loud booms that have been going off all around the island. So hopefully the task force will have some results. Haven't heard much, but the special task force that was put into place was supposed to interdict these fireworks. It hasn't been done yet. So we move on. So HPD, thank you for taking time for us. And our hats off to you, because I know your phone's going to be ringing off the hook here or at the end of next month. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We're moving along very quickly here. Board member Lee asked me to move up one of the agenda items. This was the special meeting that I host. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, before we get started, Julie Chang. Hi, Julie. Finally showed up. You got 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Julie, and I work for Catholic Charities as a program volunteer coordinator for a new project called Transportation Friends for Kupuna, or TFK. And so thank you for fitting me into the agenda to be able to make this announcement today. This new project will be matching seniors that are age 55 and older to provide free transportation and or chaperone assistance to frail kupuna living independently on Oahu who need assistance. Many of these kupuna don't have family or friends available to help them. And so this is where our volunteers come in to fill the gap. By 2030, the elderly population is projected to account for more than a quarter of our state's population. And as we age, then we know that driving and walking become more difficult. So even my own 80-something-year-old parents are selective about where they go because of their mobility issues. And so TFK is dedicated to senior mobility. With TFK, male volunteers will serve male clients and female volunteers will be paired with female clients. So I'm just gonna ask if you're a senior or if you know seniors who enjoy helping and getting to know other seniors, because TFK is now recruiting seniors that are 55 and older to volunteer as drivers and or chaperones. So our drivers would use their own vehicle and would need a clean driver's abstract and insurance, and all our volunteers would be vetted and go through an orientation and training. So I'm asking if you can help spread the word about this project. And we're also interested in having Kupuna at this time be on a wait list. And so as you hear of potential volunteers and clients, then please send them my way. So more information and contact is on our Catholic Charities website under this Transportation Friends for Kupuna program. And I can also put it in the chat if you're interested. Does anyone have any questions?
Board members, any questions for Julie? Seeing none virtual, none in person. Any of our residents, any questions? Okay, Julie, I do want to say commend Catholic Charities. It's such a great program because desperately needed for our Kupuna. And I want to meet with you personally at a later date to see what we can do to help you out to get those volunteers in, and also maybe some other things that you guys can take on that I've seen that where the Kupuna is needed. But thank you. No other questions, and thanks for keeping it brief.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, we're moving on to our board business. This is a report that and what I'm going to do right now is pass the gavel over to my vice chair virtually so I can speak on this. Okay, on the 16th of November, I called a special meeting. It was a Pearl City Neighborhood Board special meeting in regard on behalf of all the families that have their loved ones that are buried or interned at Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery. The mission objective, we wanted to bring the officials together with the families and look at the potential ways ahead for the cemetery. We had a really good turnout. We had over 60 people that had signed up. It appeared there were really about 100. And the first speaker that we had was Senator Glenn Wakai. He came up and introduced his idea about trying to integrate solar capability for the cemetery that could generate the funds to help for the maintenance and improvements of the cemetery, or anybody in the future that would want to take it over to use those funds for those purposes. He introduced that option to the community. I didn't see a revolt in any way because I think the families are desperately searching for some positive way ahead. But there was also another individual that came up and said, hey, we need other ideas. And of course, I welcomed the individual and the audience to come up with more ideas, see what we've got for options so we can figure a way forward. Regretfully, my special meeting, I was going to try to ask for a vote, but because I didn't have a quorum, I had to go into a discussion meeting, which is be in compliance with the Sunshine Law. So I didn't take a vote, but it did appear that there were a lot of people that were very interested and to see which way ahead. Senator Wakai had Hawaiian Electric show up. They gave a rundown looking at the feasibility. Could it be done since there's the hookups are right there next to the cemetery with one of the substations. And very importantly, we had Deputy Director Dean Hazama for the DCCA, because this is who we have been dealing with for a long time. Of course, I have a dual hat, not only being the chair for the Pearl City Neighborhood Board, but I also was elected president for the nonprofit Friends for Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery that I was asked to do by the Attorney General when I had a meeting with her and the governor a few years back with Representative Takayama and Representative Takumi. But the DCCA, they've got to provide a report. There is a resolution out right now, HCR 29, that commits them. They have got to come up with some ideas for a way forward for the cemetery, and that's due next month. So we'll be hearing that. We also had Mr. David Day and James Page from the Attorney General's office. You know, I was really pleased to see their participation. And of course, what really piqued my ear is that they are looking at ways forward. And in their comments, they had said that they're going to look at maybe the legislature's secure trespass authority, and then also looking at ways to transfer those funds to a nonprofit. Those have been the big stickling items that has impacted the cemetery for almost a decade. There has been so much loss because of the lack of somebody taking action, because two of those things could have prevented a lot of the problems that we had. I, with my hat with the president of the nonprofit, gave an update, showed photos. We did have a cleanup that was very successful on November 6th. We had a nonprofit group come in and they did a major cleanup of the mausoleums. Those mausoleums have not been cleaned out in 10 years. It's a very difficult to work because it's hazardous. You have to wear hazmat suits because of the stench in that part of the cemetery from the homeless. It's a big cat litter for all the stray cats that are there. And of course, with the drug activities that go on daily in the cemetery, they had to get around that. But 4 tons of trash were cleaned up out of the cemetery all the way. The nonprofit donated $8,000. Home Depot donated $2,500 in equipment, the hazmat suits and that, and Tanioco's fed everybody. So that turned out to be really good. Any questions on the special meeting? And my hat's off to my vice chair, Charmaine, because she did a superb job as always with my minutes. Okay. All right. No questions. We're going to move on. Okay, Charmaine, can you introduce our legislative priorities resolution?
Okay, hopefully everybody has had a chance to see it. I'm not going to read it because we have so many other items on the agenda. But just very quickly, this resolution authorizes the board chair, and actually for the first time this year, it authorizes all committee chairs to submit testimony and advocate for all of these different priorities. There are 80, but half of those are carryovers that we keep working on, affordable housing and animal control and all these things. But many of these items we've discussed in the last several months, and almost all of them in the last year, traffic safety, crosswalks, safe havens for homelessness, fireworks, emergency evacuation routes, and sirens have been something we discussed a great deal. So with that said, I want to thank everybody who contributed ideas and helped to make the list. With that said, I move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got that? Okay, and is there any discussion? Okay, is there, from the audience, is there anything for discussion? Oh, that was...
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say thank you so much to Charmaine Duran for helping us get a pig crossing sign on Komomai Drive up in Palisades. It's definitely needed. We had another one hit for last, so somebody's gonna have to get their car fixed before the holidays. So I just want to say thank you for working with us on that, and we look forward to seeing it.
Okay, thank you. And if anybody didn't hear that, it's with Charmaine, she added the requirement for that pig crossing on Komomai Drive, a very dangerous part of the loop down there. Okay, we're going to call for roll call vote. Rodney Awong? Aye. Charmaine Duran?
Aye.
Guy Noy?
Aye.
Brendan Lee? Junior Mazzano? Dan Smith?
Aye.
Nathan Taguchi? Tony Valesco?
Aye.
And myself, Larry Veray, yes. We have 9 yeses. All right, motion passes. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, which is a resolution. Go ahead. 5G. Yeah, we did that already. Yeah, I talked about it. Okay. All right. And the next one, Brendan, you want to introduce that resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Recommending the approval of resolution demanding a strategic plan and transfer of trust funds for the maintenance of Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery. Whereas the owner of Sunset Memorial Cemetery passed away in year 2011 with the owner leaving funds in the Hawaii Cemeteries Association Corporation Trust. And for all these past years, the state made no effort to release this fund to a nonprofit group to support maintenance of the cemetery. And whereas for the past 12 years, the cemetery has deteriorated as an unsafe and unsightly cemetery routine maintenance, presenting challenges and unsafe conditions for volunteers and families maintaining and visiting the park. And whereas volunteer veterans, church groups, and other nonprofits, family members are required to use personal equipment to control overgrowth vegetation along with large amounts of refuse and trash left by inhabitants on the grounds. And whereas the road in the cemetery has excessive potholes and generally in major disrepair, causing great liability to both volunteers and family members while in the park. Whereas there's no water operable water source on the cemetery to water their grounds, and families must bring their own water to groom their grave sites. And whereas for the past decade, increased incidents of destroyed crypts, removal remains, and removing precious metals off of headstones, removing urns out of crypts, and repositioning headstones. And whereas existing work is needed to repair and maintain the crypt and mausoleums in the cemetery due to destroyed concrete entryways to the crypts and near collapsed mausoleums due to damaged frames, removed windows, and some mausoleums being burnt down. And whereas transients have cut holes in several locations of the fence line, allowing passage through the fencing. And whereas this problem has been exaggerated, not addressed nor acted upon for the 11 years due to the failure of the state to find and execute short and long-term solutions to restore the integrity of those intended at Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery. And be it resolved, the Pearl City Neighborhood Board demands such action from lawmakers at both the state legislature and the city council to take full responsibility and accountability to release the trust funds to provide required maintenance for the cemetery. And be it further resolved that the families who have their loved ones buried and interned in the cemetery have waited long enough for action from our lawmakers and the state to help them find a way forward to maintain the cemetery. And now is the time for the legislative bodies to take action, complete and present the deliverables to stated parties as stated in House Concurrent Resolution number 29 HD1 by the proclaimed deadline. And be it finally resolved that the Pearl City Neighborhood Board requests that copies of this resolution be distributed to Governor Green, Hawaii State Legislature, DCCA, Attorney General, City Council, Hawaii State Sheriff's Department, Honolulu Police Department, and all neighborhood boards.
Thank you, Brendan. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
That was Charmaine. Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
this makes some pretty bold demands. At the special meeting that was held, was the Attorney General present?
No, the Attorney General sent the representatives to that special meeting.
So the Attorney General has, I don't want to use the word signed off, but the Attorney General has given the affirmative that the state and or city has the legal authority to do this, to take funds from the special cemetery funds.
Yes,
Thank you.
this will be coordinated through the DCCA.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Brendan. Okay, no other discussion? I'm gonna go for a roll call vote. Rodney? Charmaine?
Aye.
Guy?
Aye.
Brendan? Junior? Dan?
Aye.
Nate? Tony? Tony?
Aye.
Okay. And myself, Larry, yes, that's 9 yeas. Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, the next resolution, Rodney, go ahead and present it.
Test. Okay. We're listening in the back there. You two guys. Pay attention. Corey, Brandon. Demanding the Hawaii State Legislature initiate legislation to resolve the problem of squatters wrongfully occupying private property when the owners have deceased. Whereas the Pearl City Neighborhood Board number 21 has received overwhelming testimony and complaints from residents regarding trespassers who have moved into their residential neighborhood unoccupied, abandoned, or foreclosed buildings and homes when owners have deceased and the property is in limbo with the state. And whereas trespassers and squatters are illegally occupying the Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery and desecrating the property, causing major safety and health risk to the community. Whereas residents have called the Honolulu Police Department to report transients and homeless individuals squatting in their neighbor's home, creating the threat of illegal drug activity, illegal gambling, causing excessive noise disturbances, or causing a high-risk threat of the structure burning down due to accidental cooking fire, drugs, or intentional arson. And whereas this problem has festered for years with the failure of the state to rectify this problem and loopholes in the law for these squatters to avoid being trespassed off private property. And be it resolved, the Pearl City Neighborhood Board demands action from our lawmakers, both the state legislature and the city council, to work together to find a solution to this issue that impacts the quality of life for many families in residential areas and for those who have their loved ones buried at a cemetery. And be it further resolved that a creative solution brought forward is for the state to immediately react to neighborhood complaints and evidence provided by those residents within 72 hours, and the state issue trespass authority to the Sheriff's Department or the Honolulu Police Department to clear the squatters off private property. And be it finally resolved that the Pearl City Neighborhood Board requests that copies of this resolution be distributed to Governor Green, Hawaii State Legislature, DCCA, Attorney General, City Council, Hawaii State Sheriff's Department, Honolulu Police Department, and all neighborhood boards.
Thank you, Rodney. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, Chair.
Okay, Tony. Do I have a second?
Second.
Charmaine, second. Any discussion? I just want to mention this is a very important resolution because this has gone on for years and many neighborhoods and families have suffered. This is an opportunity to fix it with our legislative team. Okay, roll call vote. Rodney?
Aye.
Charmaine?
Aye.
Guy?
Aye.
Brendan? Junior?
Aye.
Dan?
Yes.
Nate? Tony?
Aye.
And myself. 9 yeses, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on. I want to get board approval to send a letter to DPP on the proposed development at E&V. They want to put a collection system maintenance warehouse in the Pearl City industrial area. I had sent out, I scanned that letter in and I sent it out. And of course, Sharman asked me today about that letter and she didn't see it. So did anybody see that letter I sent out?
So,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I saw the letter from the company. I did not see a letter that's being proposed from the board.
No, there was nothing from the board. I was going to draft it upon approval or denial. Because all they're looking for is they're
Our support,
coming to the
correct.
board. Either we want it or we don't. And of course, the way I saw it is I didn't see any impact. It'd be a positive impact, if any, because it's in the industrial area.
Well, I was just answering the question, Mr.
Okay,
Chair,
sorry.
of the letter.
Okay, so if there are no objections, I'd like to draft a letter. And of course, before I send a letter, I'd always let you guys look at it. But it'll be in support of this warehouse construction in the Pearl City industrial area. Are there any-
I so move, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anybody second? Okay, Rodney? Okay, and do I need a roll call vote for this one?
I believe there's discussion, Mr. Chair. I see the Vice Chair's hand up.
Okay, Vice Chair, go ahead.
Sorry, Chair. Is there somebody from Wilson Okamoto or somebody else to talk about the project at all?
No, I don't think anybody came to this.
I did read over the material, Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
If there's any questions that I can answer from the material that was provided.
Yeah, I looked, I didn't see any issue. Charmaine, what question do you have?
I'm just trying to be consistent. And, we ask people to come and make presentations
I mean, I
before
can,
we,
if you want more time with this, I can push it to January, but I hate,
I mean,
I don't like to kick the can down the road.
they sent the letter, they should be here if they need our support. If they don't need it and they're just trying to be friendly,
No,
that's
they do,
something.
they do
So-
want our support.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm not clear on if they're coming just because they like us or they actually need it as part of the permitting process. And everybody should actually be sharing that. Like, I need this when I'm doing the permit. And so it kind of impacts what they should be offering. It's a little bit of a shortcut to send a letter and say, when we've had Pearl City Storage like twice. So I'm just saying it would be nice if somebody would come, but I defer to my colleagues.
Okay, well, if there are no objections, I'd like to draft a letter in support. And I don't see any objections, so we'll go ahead and do that then. Okay, and Charmaine, can you discuss the other proposed letter that we want to put out with the Pearl City Storage?
I'm not sure if everybody's had an opportunity to review the draft letter. And the letter outlines the project that we just heard for the second time, and also asked the board to identify some or maybe rate community benefits that maybe that they think are important. So I think we heard dog park, community garden. There might have been a third one. So it's basically just the board outlining what they think is important for this area. Maybe the traffic thing might be important. So right now there are a lot of blanks, and so we would need to have an amendment. And so I'm going to move to approve. Hopefully we'll get a second and then maybe an amendment after that. So move to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and just further discussion. Charmaine, would you want me to tally the board to find out who's in favor of the dog park and who's in favor of the urban garden?
For the chair, our chair on planning, maybe we could start with him and what his suggestion would be for our board, and then because
Okay.
I'm willing to support what
Okay,
you and
so-
he want to do.
So I'll let you work with Brendan as chair of our
Well,
DPC.
I
committee.
was gonna make an amendment, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the writer of the resolutions
Yep.
suggestion. I move to amend the letter to add in the proposal of the developer to make the parking lot a right in and right out only.
Okay,
That making a left-hand turn into that property would be unduly back up traffic that is already backed up at that stoplight. And making a left-hand turn out of that driveway would be extremely dangerous. And they recognize that themselves by moving the building back into the property more to try and give more line of sight, which they are not required to do. But they did it because they recognize that that is a blind downhill turn. So making a left out of there would be extremely dangerous. As for the vice chair's suggestion about ranking, I don't know that that's necessary. I mean, it sounds like they've had community input already and they plan on having another community meeting.
yeah.
We are a small board versus the entire community coming in to give their suggestions. I know personally, I like the version that dog park and community gardens, whether it's a bigger dog park or the smaller dog park, really think it matters. I do believe that the walkable community in that area is not an overly large community. I believe that dog park would probably mostly be utilized by the Twin Towers, and that's it. Because there is a big public park right next to Foodland. Now, granted, it's not a dog park, but the people that live right there in Manana walk across the bridge and they run their dogs around over there. So I don't see them walking another quarter mile down the road to go to a dog park. So I don't believe that a bigger dog park is necessary, but I leave that up to the community that's there. As for the community gardens, Mr. Chair, I do know for a fact that the other community gardens within the island, which are mostly within, actually, they're all within the urban core of Honolulu, there is a 10-year wait list to get in there. 10 years, people wait to get in. And we don't have one here anywhere on the west side. So I believe a community garden is a good idea. And I'm pretty sure it probably filled up really quickly, especially because they are offering what other community gardens do not, which is storage space if you have a plot. Other places, you have to bring your materials in and out with you every time you go. This business proposal, building proposal is going to provide storage space for each plot. That's a big deal.
Brendan, thank you for all the really good, important recommendations. And I agree with you. We wait for they do the town hall and see what the community really wants.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And my my amendment to add in the no right in and no right out begs a second.
Yep. So the vice chair's got that. And if there are no objections, we'll go ahead and have our vice chair, she'll draft a letter up. You'll see it before it goes out. And Charmaine, one more thing.
Okay, so DPP asked for them to get our input on community benefits. So when they did the TOD plan, that area was from the community was softly identified as actually a park, the entire site. So DPP has asked for us to provide. So if the board is okay, I got the right, if we could do the amendments together, I second the amendment for right in, right out. That's really important. But if we could actually fulfill the DPP guidance and what the project developer is requesting, at least suggest community garden, dog park, and then get public input, at least we could say we've closed the circle on our part. Because there were community meetings many years, and this is moving in a little bit opposite of that feedback. So we want to make sure that we try to close that gap. So right in, right out, community garden, dog park. Anything else? Does that
Any
work
other-
for
any other
everybody?
ideas or options?
I concur,
And then-
Mr. Chair. I'll add that to my original amendment.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All right, we'll move forward. Okay, Tony, our recognition chair. You have some people to recognize.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, we haven't voted on the amendment to approve it, and we haven't voted to approve the letter.
Okay, can I get a approval for the amendment?
Second.
Okay, Rodney? And second, Charmaine.
Okay.
Okay, and if there are no objections, we'll consider it approved. No objections.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair. And then the letter?
The actual main motion, yep.
Yep, and can I get a motion for Charmaine to draft a letter?
It's been moved and seconded, sir. We just need a vote.
Okay, and if there are no objections, we'll go ahead and get the letter out. All right, I hear none. Thank you. Okay, Tony, over to you. We're moving on.
Yep, okay, hold on.
And since it's the end of the year, we took the time, our
Okay.
recognition committee, to make some recognition. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Let me bring it up. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, we got it.
Okay. Okay, we'd like to recognize Dalia Manzanillo, Waialo District Park Manager. On behalf of the Pro City Neighborhood Board, number 21, and Neighborhood Commission, we hereby present this certificate of recognition to Mrs. Dalia Manzanillo, Waialo District Park Manager, Honolulu Parks and Recreation's Office, for a truly outstanding leadership, management, and service to the Pro City community residents. Specifically, since 2013, you led and coordinated numerous senior citizens club, children's program, adult service, senior exercise, and tiny tots activities that all these parks and recreation program made a positive impact on our community. You also led and coordinated the annual Easter egg hunt for our keiki. With heartfelt thanks, we thank you for your past years of leadership and service. Mahalo nui loa.
And Dahlia couldn't be here tonight. She has another event that she had to attend. So I'll make sure she gets her certificate. All right, Tony. Next one.
Okay, I have another one. On behalf of the Pro City Neighborhood Board number 21 and Neighborhood Board Commission November 2023, we hereby present this certificate of recognition to Mr. Jonathan Toma, Pro City District Park Lifeguard Manager, Honolulu Parks and Recreation Office, for a truly outstanding leadership, management, and service to the Pro City community residents. Specifically, over the past 16 years as a lifeguard manager for the Pro City District Park, you managed 10 lifeguards and pool operations and maintenance. When Honolulu Parks and Recreation Office was having great difficulty in filling positions for Pro City, you were similarly responsible for performing outstanding throughout all communities and successfully recruited 9 lifeguards to effectively fill the position needed for the Pro City to resume full-time swimming pool operations for our senior citizen keiki swimming program. Mr. Toma is a true hero for Hawaii because for his 31 years with ocean safety, he was responsible for saving over 150 rescues. With heartfelt thanks, we thank you for your past years of leadership and service to Pro City. Mahalo nui loa.
Thank you, Tony. And again, Mr. Toma could not be here tonight. He had a swimming meet that he had to take care of today. So I'll make sure he gets that. Okay, and Tony, you want to do the next thing for the lifeguards?
Yeah, we're gonna also offer give certificate of recognition to Zaylor Cabana Zukarin, Christian Chan, Justin Liu, Brian Lum, Jonah Mahelona, Moana Peaua, Aaron Saito, Shiden Shimabukuro, and Dyson Yasuda. I can bring up a template that we created. I won't read it, but that's the certificate that we're going to be giving to the 9 lifeguards.
All right, Tony. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I got to tell you, I've met most of the lifeguards and really got a really good team. John is a very special person and truly a hero. And he's a good mentor for the other junior lifeguards that are there. Okay, the last one here, I'm going to present in person because we have the president of the Lions Club for Pearl City, and that's Lion President Tad Saruma. So I'm going to go up and I'll present this one to him. All right, those you know, this yellow vest is very special. You know, you see it throughout Pearl City, through Aiea, Waipahu, and there's some of our officials, board members are actually members of the Lions Club. They're unsung heroes. We have several people that have done some really dynamic things. So on behalf of the Pearl City Neighborhood Board number 21 recognizes the Pearl City Lions Club in grateful appreciation to the Pearl City Lions Club for their truly outstanding leadership, support, and service to the Pearl City community. The Pearl City Lions Club, District 50, Region 4, Zone 2, with Lions, has over 50 current members from the Pearl City area. Since May 1965, the Pearl City Lions Club facilitated numerous community service projects that have had a major positive impact to our residents who live in Pearl City area. The Lions were instrumental in reaching out to our public and private schools in Pearl City and Aiea area, providing vision and hearing screening for hundreds of students from our elementary and high schools. The Lions facilitated fundraisers and donated funds for scholarships to many of our schools. In addition, the Lions participated in many historic Pearl Harbor bike path community cleanups. Many of these members participated in volunteer blood donations to the Hawaii Blood Bank. Our Pearl City Lions have provided exceptional support by serving their community. With heartfelt thanks, we thank our Lions for your past year's leadership and service. Mahalo nui loa. All right, anything you want to say?
Chair Larry, members of the Neighborhood Board 21, the Neighborhood Commission, thank you very much, and the community members, Senate and representative, and military. Thank you for this award. This is for the whole club. We acknowledge the whole club because it one for all and all for one. We do it just because we want to do it, whatever project, service. And I thank all the members for their hard work. They are the achievers. Thank you.
And President Lion Tad, we will be following up for all those individual Lions. They will have a recognition certificate by your next big meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. We're moving on quickly here, and we are up to our government officials. Do we have Gene Albano here?
I'm here
Gene?
online.
Well, welcome, Gene.
Good evening, everyone, Chair, Vice Chair, and Neighborhood Board. Some of the highlights for the Mayor's November newsletter. October was a very good month for affordable housing. There was many groundbreaking blessings. One in Chinatown that will provide a couple of dozen affordable units. There are a couple in the downtown, not down, but Honolulu proper on Kinau Street, as well as Ernest Street, where each of them will be providing 25 rental units. And lastly, the biggest one so far is the old Aiea Sugar Mill, in which it is getting 140 unit rental housing units. On August 8th, the four mayors visited Lahaina in support and unity of the devastation fires in Lahaina, and it symbolized resilience and a community sticking together, transcending county lines. The city and county of Honolulu received $1 million in public art funding through the Bloomberg Philanthropies Public Art Challenge. It was one of 8 cities to get this grant, where 150 cities actually applied. So we were very fortunate to get the $1 million art grant. It will be spearheaded by the Mayor's Office of Culture and Arts. The city has created a community-driven climate adaptation strategy called Climate Ready Oahu that outlines actions for adapting for sea level rise, increasing temperatures, and other climate hazards. A draft strategy was released early in November, and the city is asking for your input. Public comment can be submitted at climatereadyoahu.org. And lastly, the city is very proud to have opened the new convenience center in Kapolei. It is the 10th waste disposal facility on Oahu and the first since 1992. It is open every day with the exception of Christmas and New Year's Day. Moving on to the questions from last month. The first one was from member Inoue regarding the intersection at Ho'olaulea and Moanaloa Road, in which there were not enough cars going through one cycle of lights, traffic signal lights. DTS did go ahead and monitor it. They have recognized there was some shortcoming, and they have adjusted the signaling system to accommodate for additional vehicles. Vice Chair Duran requested information on the 2017 Pro City HFD housing. HFD at this time is unable to research the item due to insufficient information. They have specifically asked if you can be a little bit more specific in terms of referencing an operating or capital improvement budget line item. And they would be happy to follow up. Would you like to say anything on that, Vice Chair?
You want me to look up the CIP from 2017 and give you, is that
Yeah, they're actually saying the name
okay,
of
so
the
it's
project or
okay, so
yeah.
the Pearl City Fire Station was funded in 2017 and it's in the CIP and a portion of that money was actually encumbered.
Okay.
So I'm just, maybe it was for like, consultants. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what it was.
Okay, so it was for the fire station
2017.
specifically. Okay,
Yep.
we'll follow up on that. And your other question was regarding status of the development plan for Pro City IAEA. DPP is requesting more time to do research, and they will give you an update hopefully at the beginning of next year.
Okay, it's actually just the I don't know if you remember when you first came, like it was just actually the projects inside the plan that are included in this IAEA plan.
Okay, so specific
It's just,
projects.
yeah,
Okay.
there was like a list and we actually attached it and some of them are probably done already and it's just, next year is fine, but it's been, I think it's been like 2 years. It's
If I
been
had
a
to guess,
while.
they have other priorities at the moment. But
Yeah, it's been
I
2
will,
years.
I will ask politely
Yeah.
for that information by next year.
Okay.
That is it. If there are any other questions or comments,
Well, thank you for the update, Mr. Albano. Board members, any questions?
there is one from
Okay.
member
We
Inoue.
got Guy. Go ahead.
So Gene, thank you very much for the update. Yes, I can see the improvement, instead of like 3-4 cars going through, at least now, it jumped up tremendously, maybe as much as 12 to 15 cars. And then this past week, I don't know if there was a hiccup again, back down to 6 or 7, but then let's let it ride for a little bit, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Go ahead.
Member Smith.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yes, well, I appreciate that we're recognizing lifeguards and pool management, but I think there's a larger issue in that, driven by at the city level, that unable to provide swimming pool hours after 5 p.m. on weekdays or on the weekends. So
I can continue to bring it up with DPR and see if there's any more movement to allow for after work hour access.
Yeah. Hey, Dan.
Okay.
Dan, you and I
Well,
can work this out with Director Thalen.
All right.
We'll put a request in. Any other questions?
Vice Chair has her hand up as well.
Yes, I actually have, if that's okay, Chair, is it okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to cut anybody off over there. I actually have 2 things. One is about 3 weeks ago, I got just an inquiry if I had seen the rubbish truck with spikes on the, I guess, lug nuts. And I had not. But since then, I have seen what appears to be 6-inch spikes coming from the city rubbish truck. I have now seen about 3 or 4 of these, as well as one of these trucks which has chrome tires. And I want to know if you could find out what the policy for that kind of uniformed equipment. And I'm asking for 2 reasons. One, we have, well, actually 3, we have gift rules, and some of this might be a gift, which could be very cheap or could be very expensive. 2, the city has had issues with vehicle repairs and the improper use of city funds. And we just want to make sure that's not happening. And third is if one of these 6-inch spikes flies off and hits somebody, because they're in residential areas, it's going to cost people a lot of money if it's not a standardized uniform equipment. And I did talk to Refuse, and they said it's beautifying the truck, and I can appreciate that. But the spikes might go a little bit beyond that. So hopefully there's some kind of, standardized, if you could find out for us if there is. So I've
Vice
seen
Chair,
3.
you mentioned 3. One was the last one was the safety. First one was repairs, and what was
And the city has had scandals using,
okay.
using city
Funding.
repair to do that kind of stuff. And,
Okay.
so we just want to make sure
Proper
it's
funding.
essential. Yeah,
Okay.
But as long as there's a good policy to make sure nobody's getting hurt, and if somebody does get hurt, what happens? Because, they and it's not, and the person who brought it to me, it's like, maybe it's not the best presentation of the city, but I don't know if that's true. The other one is, and I'll email you this. I had an issue with my personal car registration. I printed it out at a kiosk. And because I'm scatterbrained sometimes, I didn't notice that the VIN did not print completely out. So yesterday I went to Lex Brody to get a safety check, and they told me I'd left. They made me come back and said one of the numbers is missing or something of that sort. So I went to the Pearl City satellite at Pearl Ridge, and they refused to help me because it was not quite 10 o'clock. And when I insisted that you actually owe me a good registration, because you had not given me, you gave me this bus up one, I realized that there was a whole bunch of people waiting to get into the satellite at Pearl Ridge, but they couldn't get in because the mall doesn't open to 10. But the satellite city hall opens at 9, but only by appointment. So I have actually a couple, and I want to say that Sam at Satellite City Hall, Pearl Ridge, did help me, but it did take some insistence because she was like, I'm going to do it as a favor, but it's not a favor, it was bus up. And then she said that it's a third-party vendor that maintains the kiosk. So I wanted to know if you could find out if there's a notification system when, I guess I'm not sure if it was out of ink. I don't know what happened, but my HP printer is 20 years old and I get a notice when it's running out or dirty, because she was kind of stressed out that there might be others like me, and what the policy is, why the city satellite hall, which is open, is not open to the public until 10. Maybe that's something that we should work out better. So, and if you need more information.
That's at Pearl Ridge, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let me make so I understand. Satellite Hall is open at 9 by appointment till 10 when the mall opens at 10.
Yeah, so she said come back in an hour, which
okay. All right. I got it. Looks like member Inoue has another question.
Okay, Guy.
Yeah, real quick, Gene, in response to Charmaine's situation regarding the spikes on the tires, I did a comment one time to one of my friends, is retired HPD, and he said that, those things might not be legal because those spikes are sticking out past the fenders, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, oh, looks nice. It's pretty cool. And he goes, actually, it's very dangerous because, if God forbid, it kind of brushes against another car or vehicle like that, it's going to cut them up pretty bad. Yeah, and cause even, God forbid, death.
Yep.
So thank you.
That's understood. Thank you, member Inoue.
Thank you, Guy. Well, at least we know now what the city trucks are doing in their parking lots with the garbage trucks, with the spikes.
Vice Chair, this was rubbish E&V disposal trucks, yes? Okay. just making sure. Thank you.
Okay, board members, any other questions?
One
Go ahead,
more.
Rodney.
Mr. Jean, how is
Yes.
your ridership numbers on our routes here in Pearl City?
I can ask DTS if that's a request, and I will get you updated ridership numbers.
Okay.
Okay, board members, any other questions? Gonna pick up speed here. Okay, residents, any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Happy
Mr. Moreno.
holidays, everyone.
Take care. Happy holidays. Okay, moving on to our council member Val Okimoto. Her representative is here.
Aloha Chair, can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Aloha Chair, members of the board, Eric Kamanu with Councilmember Okimoto's office. A quick legislative update for you. The council met today in special session. A couple bills of note that were heard include Bill 36, which seeks to disallow building permit applications from applicants who have been convicted of criminal offenses involving the acceptance of a bribe or who caused an employee of the Department of Planning and Permitting to be convicted of the same, and remove the affidavit requirement of stating no outstanding fines or liens for building permit applications. The council also heard Bill 50, which seeks to expand the transit-oriented development special district to include one additional Honolulu Rail Transit Project Station area and to incorporate land use standards and guidelines for that area based on the recommendations in the Halava Area TOD plan. Finally, we have requested multiple traffic studies along Moanalua, Ho'omalu, that whole area. We received one back today along Ho'omalu Street, Makai side of Moanalua. DTS did a speed survey there, and the speed surveys did show that there is speeding pretty significantly occurring on this road. They are currently going to be trying to implement changes under the Pearl City Complete Streets projects. This is things like sidewalks, curb extensions, and some parking lanes proposed for that area, as well as some pedestrian improvements like narrowing the travel way to try to help reduce speeding in that area. The conceptual design for this will be incorporated under the next repaving project. Any additional information regarding the Pearl City's Complete Streets projects can be found at honolulu.gov/complete-streets/Pearl City. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Eric, for the update. Board members, any questions? Okay, got a hand up, Guy?
Yeah, Eric, in terms of complete streets and smart streets, so to say, I brought this up many times, since 2018, that I was trying to get that crosswalk removed on Nanakai and Waimano Home Road, and it's still there. And guess what? This past weekend, somebody almost got hit because they just walked right, on the crosswalk, and the light had just turned green, and thank goodness that that person stopped, but it backed up traffic, I would say over 1/16 of a mile up Waimano Home Road. So, you're trying to do some improvements, etc., beautify this, whatnot, and so forth, but that crosswalk is an extreme hazard on Nanakai and it's on Waimano Home Road. If you could please address that, please.
I will send a request in for that. Thank you.
Okay, Charmaine?
Thank you for the report. When we met with a council member, we talked about legislative priorities. So we have adopted legislative priorities, which includes the removal of that crosswalk, among other things. And we ask that the council member take a look at that. And if she has any questions, reach out to the chair or any of the other members.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Charmaine.
Thank you, Charmaine.
Okay, board members, any other questions? Okay, community? Okay, hearing none. Eric, thank you. And happy holidays to you and the team. Okay, moving on to the governor's representative, Mr. Jeff Hickman. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Chair, Board. Right now, the governor's, one of his concerns is still the housing on Maui, the transitional housing, where they're moving from the temporary to final. So he's trying to work with the Maui community to have residents and community members who own land to allow their facilities to be used by Lahaina. So he's working that issue big, and he's working with the schools. So those are the two big initiatives that he's working on, especially as holidays are coming up now. And families have been in hotels with no kitchens with families for a long time. So a lot of work on Maui still to be done. On the National Guard side, nothing new to report for the PFAS. So I can take questions now for the governor or for the Hawaii National Guard.
Thank you. Any board members, any questions for Mr. Hickman? No one?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so Hawaii News Now reported today about families on Maui being evicted from the hotels going into the holidays. Does the governor have any comment or plans on addressing this?
I'm sure the governor will address it. The hotel stays on Maui has been a challenging issue. There's been those who stay in the hotels who don't respond to letters, knocks on the door, flyers. So you have that as well as those who are probably not getting the information they need. But no, Maui County is the first line, and then I can bring that up with the governor as well.
Thank you.
Okay, board members, any other questions? Go ahead, Rodney.
Yeah, sir. Recently with the Mililani fires, the state brought in the Mendocino hot shots up in the Mililani Mauka fire.
Okay.
They brought in the Mendocino hot shots from the state side. So, is there any work that there may be a Hawaii state firefighters that can be activated at any time to do the same work as the Mendocino hot shots?
I can speak on the state side, and for the state of Hawaii DOD, we have a Hawaii Emergency Management. Every disaster first belongs to the county, to the mayors, so would they utilize their resources? If they need additional resources, then they kind of raise their hand, and that's when the guard, active duty, can step in and assist. I'm not tracking those hot shots coming in. I don't know if it was the county that requested or if it was the state that brought it in as a resource to Maui. So your question is, hey, can we have
They were
that
not
tie
brought
up?
to Maui, they're brought to Mililani Mauka.
Sorry, yeah, but the county of Honolulu.
Yeah.
So your question is, should Hawaii maybe have that kind of unit?
I think they should have their own because I know for a fact that my friend's boy, he's a federal firefighter, but he goes up to stateside and volunteers to help the firefighters on the mainland. So, you know, and I think we had the emergency director from the city came over here one time. So I think there needs to be you know, if fires are gonna, you know, be a lot of problems, which they will because of the drought. I think we ought to start looking forward to different things that we can do. Because I know those Mendocino hot shots didn't come in for free. So, you know, there's a lot of people out here that we can activate, you know, firefighters, you know, at a given time. And, you know, Maui was a prime example. And we went over it, you know, with him, the way they do things, people in the field. And I think you guys got to start upgrading. Like I told him, you know, what about Star Wars? Like, you guys got to start using some satellite imagery to where you can look down at these things because when Bisson was giving his speech or his press conference, Maui already was burning up 15 minutes before that. So, you know, and there's a lot of things, firefighting, water drops. There's a lot of areas where amphibious craft, like they do at stateside, that could drop in, fill up, and get out there to the fire and put it out.
Amphibious craft?
Yeah, in the mainland, they use the old the amphibious airplanes.
Scoop from the ocean.
Yeah, scoop from the ocean. So we still got the reef runways out there that we used back in the 40s. And Fort Island, you could also use that runway in front of Blaisdell to scoop up water and take care of these things instead of, you know, going, you know, with the helicopters having to fill up these, you know, big bins to fight the fires. So
Okay.
I think the state needs to step up their game on this one because there's the $20 million answer and there's the $20 answer. You know, they got to start upping their game on this one.
Okay.
And it'll be a good thing.
Thank you for that. No, we've learned a lot from Maui. As sad as it was, the fires have moved up on the state's, concerns. It was at the bottom. And then once we saw what happened and with the current drought, so fires are very important. There's no firefighting mission for the state. It's a county level and federal, but I'll take it back to Hawaii EMA, Emergency Management. Maybe they can use their resources and talk to the county side and to the federal side on manning that up. Thank you.
Yeah, and Rodney and Jeff, I think Rodney brought up a lot of good points here because we're going to have more drought conditions in the future. So we need to be proactive on this. So Rodney, if you want, you and I get together, let's draft up a white paper and we can bring the issues forward and formally present it to the governor. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Yes, we got online there. Dan.
Just briefly, I'm an admirer of the governor's Kahali project downtown and welcome his initiative, perhaps to get one in Pearl City. Thank you.
Okay, I'll let them know. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, Charmaine.
I know you were there already. We passed legislative priorities, which includes requesting that the state develop emergency and evacuation plans for communities that are along the forest and high risk, like my own and Mr. Smith and many of us. So we ask that the governor and all of his departments look at that.
Look into emergency and evacuation plans for communities. Okay.
Or high risk.
High risk communities. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Charmaine. Okay, Guy.
In accordance to what you had mentioned, it's usually more city and federal side in terms of firefighting. But it's interesting that, the governor got involved, right, with this Maui disaster. Yeah, especially when this Mililani fire occurred, I was thinking that, prior to what Rodney had mentioned, that, on the mainland, I mean, you had these fleet of huge prop planes, even jet planes that would go out, scoop up water beyond belief and, drop it when necessary. And I guess what kind of tweaked me was when they allocated $105 billion to help Israel and God knows how much to help Ukraine. But can you imagine if you just use, I don't know, 40, 50, 80 million to help strengthen our type of amphibious type of airplanes that can scoop up water and at least have several of them, knowing what happened in Mililani, knowing what happened in Maui. Okay. So please don't say city, county, and federal, because the governor got involved when Maui, kind of went under, so to say. Another thing is that you mentioned PFAS, right? So in regards to that, I noticed too on the news that our water bill is potentially going up 64% in the next so many years. So with that said, is the governor's kind of waking up in that respect and saying that, hey, again, we're spending a lot of money on wars around the world, so to say, and it's going to look like it's going to cost about $1 billion, to get us back on track, and therefore looking at, upping our water bill 64% over the next so many years. So I want to see some traction in that. So those two areas, yeah, the amphibious things, and that what's happening with the state, city, federal, somehow getting monies for us to recover from the additional wells that we need.
Is the state, so you're saying is the state spending money for
No, I'm
Gaza
just
and for
saying,
Ukraine,
just say if you
or the federal dollars?
No, federal dollars, right?
Right.
Well, I think if you talk stir enough with the federal government and make it profitable for both sides and amenable for both sides, I'm sure we can get some federal funding too.
What I can do is I can hit up our U.S. congressional guys with that question, because they have the direct access for approvals for at least the Ukraine and Gaza. I'll bring up the water bills going up and the governor's view on that.
Right.
Your name is Guy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Guy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Desalinization plants.
You gotta ask.
For the water supply. There,
Okay. All right, board members, we got to get moving on. Community, any questions for Mr. Hickman? Seeing none. Thank you, Jeff.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Casey Abbey, are you online?
Yes, I'm online.
Hi, Casey.
Yep, I'm here. Good evening, Chair Ray. I hope you folks can see my screen here. Just to let you know, the new U-turn sign has been installed at Halemohalu. As mentioned at a previous meeting, only passenger cars are allowed to make the U-turn. I want to thank Karen from the State Representative Takayama's office for her October 3rd email about a constituent's concern of abandoned state vehicles and equipment stored at our Pro City base yard under the H1 freeway viaduct off Lehua Avenue. It has been an eyesore for years and needs to be addressed due to the possibility of oil leaking and rust that could contaminate the soil. Did a quick field investigation the next day and realized that our oil district uses that area as a storage bay for when they want to process their paperwork to officially get rid of the vehicles. Oh, sorry. And then working with our Wildwood District Maintenance Office, they managed to dispose of some of the old state vehicles when I did a field check on the 14th, but they still are working on removing their main vehicles. I will have to report back to you folks in the next meeting. But that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, Casey, thank you for all the updates, and I'm glad to see that U-turn sign. Should be nice to have the other one by Hawaiian Electric. We'll talk about that later. We'll see how many people get run over at that one intersection there. But lessons learned from Los Angeles, having those derelict vehicles parked underneath the expressway, that would be a huge problem for us if we have to shut down the H1 because the concrete's all cracked from a fire. So I'm hoping the state took care of that immediately to get those vehicles out of there. Okay. Okay, board members, any questions for Casey? Okay, seeing none. Community, any questions? Seeing none. Casey, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to Senator Glenn Wakai. Are you online? Senator Wakai, our representative? Okay, hearing none. Senator Brandon Elefante, welcome.
Hi, great evening, Chair Veray, Vice Chair Duran, members of the Pro City Board, and members of the community. I'm Brandon Elefante from the State Senate. I want to wish all of you a happy holidays. I know this is the last meeting for the year. I do have a couple of follow-ups. For the first, had to talk about the siren up in Palisades. So I did have an opportunity to meet and tour with the Hawaii State Emergency Management and asked about that question. This is the siren that's in Palisades. Michael Greeno from my staff is online. He'll put the link in. There is a new map that HIEMA has of all the sirens. So that siren obviously was deactivated. There is programming funds to replace that at Palisades. And so Rep. Takayama and I will advocate to ensure that and also look at further planning further up for Palisades for funding for that so that there's additional coverage in that area. The second follow-up had to do with, and please excuse me as this might be a lengthy response back to the board. These are some questions from Board Member Awang Jr. and Board Member Lee. This talked about first had to do with safety concerns regarding shoulder merge in the morning heading eastbound with the Waimalu exit. Can anything be done to improve the safety of that merge, separate the lane from the shoulder or exit, or on the other hand, has HDOT explored extending operational use of the shoulder lane in that area to weekends and not just weekdays? The response, this is directly from Director Sniffen. The shoulder lane from Waiawa interchange to the Waiau interchange was originally provided as an AM peak weaving lane to provide more capacity during the morning commute. However, since then, we have seen volumes increase such that peak conditions occur in that area throughout the day and during the weekends. As such, we have kicked off a project to reset the lane configuration from Waiawa to Waimalu to convert the shoulder lane into a full-time auxiliary weaving lane to improve the safety and operational efficiency. General purpose lane widths through that corridor will be reduced a bit to accommodate the required full-time lane width. The new lane will end at Waimalu off-ramp, and the off-ramp will only be accessible from the new right lane. They will complete the new layout by December of this year and will move forward with reconfiguration early next year after they get community and receive federal highways approvals. So that's eastbound on that shoulder lane that's only now for AM commuters. The second question had to do with extending the zipper lane further westbound than the current west portal entrance. We do not have plans to extend the zipper to the west. When we last considered this potential improvement in 2014, it was determined that two structures would need to be modified to provide the space necessary. The cost of the project at that time in 2014 dollars was 77 million. With escalations, the cost could be considered closer to 90 million. According to Director Sniffen, the project is considered infeasible at this time. The other question, looking into an afternoon contraflow lane for westbound commuters. I asked if there's any preliminary studies on this. According to HDOT Director Sniffen, they have not programmed a project to increase capacity with a PM contraflow. The project cost back in 2014 was 50 million. So that's, yeah, and then there's more details about that. Again, as I mentioned in the previous month, the appropriate entity for PM contraflow or urban large planning would be the Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, which I believe Chair Verre is a member of, and that's the Citizen Advisories Committee, which you could advocate for funding for future plan designs. But as a suggestion to the board, as I mentioned to Chair Verre and Board Member Wong prior to the meeting, one consideration might be if the board wanted to, they could bring HDOT director to come and respond directly to any concerns that the board has or any type of freeway projects in this Pro City vicinity. Thank you for your indulgence on that. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to make sure that I got back to the board with your responses. That concludes my report.
Senator, thank you so much, and definitely important feedback addressing board concerns. Board members, any questions for Senator Elefante? See nothing online? Okay, we're ready to go into holiday season. You get a nice break. All right. Merry
Thank
Christmas
you.
to you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Senator Henry Aquino.
Aloha, Chair. Can you hear me?
We got you.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, board members, members of the community. My name is Nathaniel Issei, and I will be representing Senator Aquino this evening. Also, I stand by my report. Thank you.
Okay, yep, I emailed that report to all the board members, and I'll make sure that the NCO gets that as well. Thank you so much, and happy holidays to you. Any questions for Senator Aquino's office? Okay, hearing none. Okay, moving on. Representative Greg Takayama.
Thank you, Chair Bray. I obviously am not Representative Takayama. He couldn't be here tonight, but I brought the, he has a newsletter that's out there, and he was very interested in your discussion tonight around Sunset Memorial. So I just came to listen.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And for the record, what's your name again? Okay, we got it. Okay, moving on to Representative Corey Chun. Welcome, Corey.
Good evening, Chair Verre, Vice Chair Duran, members of the board. Corey Chun from the State House. You know, I distributed my community report. It has some of the things I've been doing. I'll just stand on that report just because I know it's late and trying to get through it by 9. You know, I just wanted to share that, you know, the House actually is looking for a new member because we had an appointment to a vacant Senate seat. Representative Troy Hashimoto is now a senator. But just to share with the board, because of his appointment, there was a vacancy in the Kupuna Caucus co-chair. And so I was asked to co-chair the Kupuna Caucus along with Representative Takayama. So, you know, you'll be in good hands since you have both Representative Takayama and myself looking out for the seniors in the state. And also mahalo for all your work on the legislative package and ideas. I was talking with Senator Elefante, and we'll work with all the Pro City senators, representatives, and council members on, you know, addressing those things.
But I'll be open for any questions. Thank you.
Well, Corey, thank you so much. And to all the officials, thank you for taking a look at our requirements that we've established for you all. And we'd like to work closely with you as you draft those bills with the correct language with it. And we'll be there to follow the bill. It goes through the process. And hopefully many of us provide testimony to those bills to help it along. But we're definitely, this next legislative session, we're going to be more involved, but we really need your support on some of the things recent that have festered when it comes to the safety of our residents. And I'm so glad that you were appointed to the Kapuna caucus because I do value our seniors. I worry about them all the time. They got to be fed, you know, and they can't help themselves sometimes. But the other thing is they're, you know, the individuals that prey on our seniors, you know, and what I want to do is make sure that we've got some programs for them to make sure that when they're ready for their transition, that their homes are just not sitting there for the squatters. We need to help them plan that out. Okay, board members, any questions for Representative Chun? Okay, community, seeing none. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Okay, and Representative Trish LaChica, thank you so much for driving south on that clear H2. And you had another meeting too, didn't you?
Home. I came from town, but I wouldn't miss the last meeting for the end of the year. Just been such a pleasure to work with your board. You'll see my end of year newsletter, just highlighting some of the work that we've done. We've been pretty involved with the Mililani Mauka wildfires, just working with U.S. Army garrison. The state and the city have both been very, very responsive. We did work directly with Department of Health to install 6 air quality monitors throughout the district, the community. That's at the purpleair.com, and then you click the real-time map. If you want one installed in your community, just, you know, let any of us know. And then just wanted to, in response to that, one final update, just invite you folks. We are doing a community. I was meeting a lot with the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. So we're going to do a community workshop on December 11th on wildfire prevention, how to harden your home, keep your community safe. The Department of Emergency Management Director Toya will be there. Honolulu Fire Department, DOFA will also be there. And so just an opportunity for the community to learn and then brainstorm some of the things to work on. But looking forward to a productive 2024 session. And I'm here to support, you know, the entire Pearl City delegation and advocate for your priorities as well. But happy holidays to all of you.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for the updates and that wildfire meeting that you're going to have. Please get us an invite. We definitely want to attend. And is that going to be virtual?
We can check if they have the ability to do a virtual as well. But right now it's,
I know it's hard to do virtual when you got a big town.
I was going to ask when and where is it?
December 11th, that's Monday. Is that next week already? But that's Kanoelani Elementary, Waipiu Gentry.
Okay, great. Thank you.
you.
Okay, board members, any questions for our representative? Okay, none online. Community, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Happy holidays. Okay, moving on. Nestor Garcia, are you online? Okay, Nestor's not on. Okay, moving to the Board of Water Supply. Yep, 66% increase. Where have I heard that number before? Ledward, are you online?
I am.
Okay, you're on.
Thank you, Chair Bure. Good evening, board members, members of the community. Last month, there were 4 water main breaks in Pearl City, all 8-inch mains. On the 10th, 1740 Ho'ovai Street. On the 18th, 784 Ho'omai'imai Street. And on October 26th, at 1857 Ho'omalolo Street and 1846 Ho'ovai Street. The general water announcement is that the Board of Water Supply has launched its 2024 poster and poetry contest. The poster contest is open to K through 6, and the poetry contest is open to 7 through 12. This year's theme is Our Water, Our Home. The deadline to enter is February 28th, 2024. For more information, please go to our website, www.boardofwatersupply.com/WCW contest. And that's the end of my report. Responding to a question from last month from Melody Anduja. She was asking, she wanted to know the percentage of the proposed water rate increases due to Red Hill. The response I was given is we cannot provide an exact figure. Board of Water Supply is keeping its options open. We are also exploring other federal funding to offset Red Hill expenses. Currently, Board of Water Supply has not received any monies from the military or federal government regarding Red Hill. Please note that the BWS cannot wait for reimbursement and must start drilling for new sources to ensure an adequate supply of fresh and safe drinking water today and for future generations. And that's the end of my report. I'll be happy to take any questions.
All right, Ledward, thank you very much. Board members, any questions for Ledward? Okay, online, Guy?
Yeah, Ledward, you mentioned that there was a repair on Ho'omai. Is that the one right in back of let's see, Highlands Intermediate?
I believe it is in that general vicinity, yes.
Do you know approximately when that road will be fixed? Because I pass there almost every day and it's pretty horrible.
I can get an update for you. I can send it to you by email.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, I can check on that.
Okay, board members, any other questions? Okay, Ledward, the one issue I have is this 66% water pay increase for all our residents over the next 5-year period, which includes part of that to drill those wells and not getting any money from the government. What happens when the federal government does give money? How do we make out on this deal with the residents? Because that is a significant increase for all our seniors, our Kapuna. It seems like they're getting hit all different ways. So I will get with the Board of Water Supply leadership. Also, I want to get with our advisor for Pearl City, who sits on that committee, and find out how he voted. Board members, any other questions? Okay, go ahead.
Arlen.
Yeah, Ledward.
Yeah, Arlen. So like I was telling the fellow from the state, and at the last time the Board of Water Supply representative was here, he was mentioning something about desalinization. There is a plant in Campbell Industrial Park, and I was wondering if you guys are looking at alternative ways for water sources.
Yes, the Board of Water Supply is looking at alternative sources of water. The desal plant is currently in our CIP for the upcoming cycle of the 6-year CIP.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Residents, any questions for Board of Water Supply? All right, Ledward, thank you very much, and happy holidays to you and the BWS. Okay, Pearl City Library, Vicky, are you online?
Yes.
Okay, great. Over to you, Vicky.
Good evening, everybody. All right, so first off, I'm going to mention our closures in December. We're going to be closed from December 23rd, Saturday, to December 25th, Monday, in observance of Christmas. And then we'll also be closed over the weekend for New Year's Day from December 30th to January 1st. We have a lot of programs coming up in December. I'm going to mention the December checkout challenge throughout the month of December. We are having a bit of a sort of a game. So for all the books that you borrow, we'll give you a sticker packet, and the maximum is 10 packets. You take it to the reference desk, and anybody can redeem it for a prize. So we'll give you stickers. So you have, if one of your stickers is a shiny, you can get some kind of prize. And let's see, we're also going to have a Santa story time on Tuesday, December 19 at 5:30 p.m. So if you want to see Santa, please come to the library on that night. We have other programs, but I'm not going to go over everything. But what you can do is you can pick up one of our December calendars at the library, and you can also check out our website, www.librarieshawaii.org, for more information. That's the end of my report. Any questions?
All right, Vicki, thank you so much, and thank you for having some really dynamic programs for our residents of Pearl City. Board members, any questions for the Pearl City Library? Okay, nothing online. Residents, nothing. Okay, moving on to Joint Base Pearl Harbor, the dynamic duo, Victor Flint and David Duna-Hodge.
Good evening, Chair Varay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the time again to provide Red Hill updates. Lots of news over the last few weeks since the last time we had spoke. I did go back through my notes, and I don't think I owe anybody any questions from last time that we didn't get to. But I wanted to point out, as of 2 o'clock on the 17th, the Joint Task Force has safely removed nearly 104 million gallons. So there's just a little bit left, and we had talked earlier offline about the residual amount that's down in there. So once the plan is approved, in the next day or two, on December the 4th, they'll start that last little bit, that flow bottom, the flow control valves, and get that last little bit out before December the 8th. So that's where we're at with that. Air quality monitoring, if you remember from last month, we talked about the Navy, the military had installed those air quality monitors, kind of an early warning type of thing. Those systems are still in place. Everything's working the way it should work. The drinking water long-term monitoring continues. Everything is still on the Safe Waters website. All that information is there. And with that, the drinking water long-term monitoring information booth is still going out into the community. And on November the 30th, this Thursday, it'll be over at Halsey Terrace near the Navy Exchange Mini Mart there. And then on December the 21st, it'll be over the Pearl Harbor Navy Exchange. There are some other locations in there, but they're all on base. Those are the two off-base, easy accessible locations. The 2023 Navy Water Quality Report is available. It's online on the region's website. I've sent that in our report, so that's an easy link to pass out to everybody. And then I think other than that, I just get to introduce my partner, Victor, Uncle Victor. Yes, we go on to Victor so he can give you some Joint Base updates from the many, many questions and valuable insight that he has.
Okay, Duna, thank you. Great update. All right, Victor.
I am the other half of the dynamic duo, Victor Flint, Naval Facilities. I sent in a written report, and so I'm just going to hit bits and pieces so we can move it along. In it is our water use and conservation. So that specific info is in the written report. Also, the Watershed Protection Program, that's our REPI program. We got $15 million for watershed protection. And I'm going to segue into something that was brought up from our senator and reps and other people dealing with the wildfire. Our office is working on getting REPI funds and REPI grants for wildfire prevention and suppression. So I think that's awesome. It's great to find other people's money and put it to use. And that's what we're going. So we're dealing with, on both ends of the spectrum, watershed protection, which is like a water making machine for our aquifer, and the REPI funding for fire prevention and suppression operations. So awesome. Now, Nagaoka Ojini Elementary School visits Pearl Harbor on October 25th. Students from the Ojini Elementary School in Nagaoka visited Pearl Harbor. Nagaoka is our sister city in Japan. We rolled out the red carpet for the children. November 27th, Aiea High School students will be visiting Pearl, and that includes the Arizona Memorial and other educational outreach. Mike cut you on that. And the December 7th ceremony at 7:50 a.m. This will be the 82nd annual December 7th ceremony. Takes place at the National Memorial Visitor Center. The Navy, National Park Service, and other federal and city reps will commemorate that day of infamy where 1,177 men perished on the Arizona, and another 1,000 plus died, to include our emergency responders on that horrible day. We pause to honor and reverence the sacrifices of our brave men and women on that day. Are there any questions for me and the other half? Duna, open to questions.
All right, board members, any questions for Joint Base? Okay, Guy, go ahead.
Hey, hi, Duna. Hey, Victor. So one thing was said earlier that Board of Water Supply cannot wait for the military to come around to help fund it, so that we're looking at not 66 but 64% increase in our water bill. Yeah, and so I was kind of wondering if you can move funds any faster. I mean, like I had mentioned earlier, I mean, when we had this war in Ukraine and Gaza Strip, I mean, hey, 105 billion and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So no, you know what? You're talking 1 billion.
Duna, really? Oh, mahalo. It's correct. There was no cash exchanged, but there's communication, constant communication with our Navy officials and Board of Water Supply on how we can share information, such as the very expensive tests that go on where we have to send stuff to a certified lab. Instead of us doing one test and them doing another test, why don't we do one test and share the cost? That's one. Two, the cost of digging the monitoring wells. Very expensive. I mean, super expensive. And we shouldn't be drilling a well here for the Navy and a well here for the Board of Water Supply. Why don't we drill one well, share the information, share the mana'o? That's two. Now, the equipment used for that stuff after the wells are drilled, we can share that as well. Now, I'm not in these conversations, but I know that our officers get upset when they hear stuff like that, because there is ways to reduce costs. And there is talks with Board of Water Supply. And we want to work together. That's also the advice of our U.S. Navy Kupuna team. Shouldn't be the Navy over here and Board of Water Supply over here. We should be together on this. And that's how we right this wrong. So just little old me from Public Works, but that's my mana'o on that, Brother Guy. That sound good, brother?
Okay.
That sound good?
Well,
Okay.
thank you very
Thank you.
much. So just avert the 64% in the upcoming years. That's the main goal.
Raja.
Okay,
Good
Dan.
luck with that too.
Very briefly, I hope you can lobby to get the
Dan,
rail
can you
to.
talk louder?
Very briefly, I hope you can lobby to get the rail to get to Pearl Harbor sooner rather than later, and also support efforts to get on in-state laboratory testing. No need to go to the mainland. Thank you.
Yeah, outstanding. That's one of the things, yes, Dan, thank you for bringing that up. That's one of the things that has been brought up in numerous forums to get some local things here in Hawaii for quicker results and the same accurate results that we get in the mainland. That's what we're all hoping for. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing, I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Were they pile driving today in Pearl Harbor for the new dry dock?
I didn't get a call today, but I did get one yesterday.
For
So
3 hours this morning, somebody was pile driving.
it started and then it secured right about the time that we had the rainstorm. I was
Yeah.
trying to get out of the Pearl Harbor area and all those workers were leaving at the same time. So there was some driving going on today.
That's 3 miles away.
Yeah, it's not.
And you could hear it, wow.
Would it benefit you to, if it's something that we can pass to you, so Joel, I forget Joel's last name, but he's a public information guy. Yep. So
Presentation?
we've worked with him we want to bring him to the board to talk about Dry Dock 5 construction. But if it would benefit until we can get that coordinated, even with Captain Potty, who is the construction, he's the guy. He's the one, because he's super smart. He just gives great presentations. But if it would benefit the board, Chair Varay, we can pass maybe a scheduling to you guys that we see.
Well, I think that what it is, when I first, saw the initiative and everything,
Mhm.
I saw really no impact to Pearl City at all. But when I heard that noise this morning, I said, oops, I think we need to let the residents know the time because it is very annoying.
Let me do what I can do and we'll get back to you. And then that way we'll get
Okay.
some information to you that you can share.
Okay.
There's some new things that we're learning that we didn't know about. Richardson Field as a parking lot, things that the fine print and some of these things that we were looking at, but not reading. You know, thankfully, they're all harmless things, except for the traffic impact on the Kamehameha Highway.
Right.
At the times that they're doing these things,
Okay.
the pile driving. We'll try to get you some better information. Definitely try to get Captain Potty out here to speak to you guys.
Yeah, and then for the
Great.
board too, I talked with our gentleman and I'm looking at an opportunity for the Pearl City Neighborhood Board to visit Base Commander on his turf. We can,
Yes,
in a conference meeting, sit down and just chat. So we'll try to work that day in January.
You got it, sir. Will do.
Okay, other than that, any other questions? We got one more?
Got one more
Go
here.
ahead, Guy, one more. We got to move on.
Sorry, Duda and Victor. Do you know what's happening with the RAB? I mean, they resurrected it, you know, after I had asked about it, and then all of a sudden, nothing now. There's no traction at all. It's slipping.
Brother Guy, we on it. The new environmental director, Steve Seepoff, has put that together and ran a dry run through his team, and they're ready to bring it out in 2024, starting with the Pearl Harbor Restoration Advisory Board. My kite. And the meeting looks like it's going to be at the Veteran Center at Foster Village. So yes, yes, and yes.
That's good. All right, Guy.
Yeah,
You already been
yeah,
appointed.
we only had one. We only had one meeting, and then over a year, then nothing. So, thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, I'll see no other questions. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in January.
Soon.
All right, take care. All right, and we've got Chancellor Carlos Penaloza. Welcome.
Evening, Neighborhood Board, Pearl City Neighborhood. I'll try to speed update quickly here. Just wanted to say thank you to all of the community members that participated. Discovery Fair just a couple weeks ago. Very successful event, lots of keiki doing a lot of really cool things. Just a few other things. The Pearl, our culinary program, is putting up a fundraiser, Family Favorites Reimagined. It's happening on December 8th from 6 to 8. It is a fundraiser, and the funds are to support the Maui wildfire funds that are being raised by the university. Eventbrite, and you could find it through either Leeward or Family Favorites Reimagined. You may be seeing a little bit more in the media about Leeward Community College. We are ramping up to open the site that we are opening in Wahiawa. So the Value Added Product Development Center, that's something that's gonna be coming up, and so you're gonna be hearing quite a bit of buzzing there. We are building a relatively large facility on our lower campus for sustainable agriculture. It's a giant shade house that we're gonna be embedding with technology for ag tech. As a workforce area. Just wanted to share that it's already happening. We were just notified earlier this month that the NSA has designated Leeward a National Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense through 2028. So again, the folks at the college are very humble, so I get to show off a little bit whenever we can. We've had a program that started earlier this year called Aina Tumakeke, and it supports entrepreneurs in value-added products. Earlier this month, the Entrepreneurs Marketplace hosted by the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival awarded 2 of our participant businesses grand prizes at $10,000 and $5,000 each. Hawaiian Vinegar and Spice Company, as well as the Hawaii Wurst Company, both won the awards, and those are 2 completers of our Aina Tumakeke program, so we're very proud of that. And finally, because I've been asked quite a bit on this, just wanted to let you all know that our bus training program application did go out. In addition to it, we do have a commitment for a bus that's being donated to Leeward. There's red tape, so it's not going to be immediate, but lots of progress there for building that workforce and bus drivers. So thank you.
All right, all great news. and especially get ready to start training those bus drivers. Okay, board members, any questions for our chancellor? Nothing online? Thank you, sir. Happy holidays. Okay, moving on. Pearl City to PTSA. Tony, any updates?
The only update is we have a Pearl City Christmas parade on Sunday from 4 to 6. So beware, roads will be closed during that time, and you're free to participate by watching it. That's it.
Okay, Pearl City Community Association. Tony.
Yeah, nothing on that also.
Okay, Treasurer's Report. Guy, you have no money. Yep. Lloyd Yoshinaka, he's got it all expedited, taking care of everything for us. Okay. Next, going on, everybody was mailed the meeting minutes. Everybody got a chance to go through it. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
No, Chair,
Yes.
did we do H on the agenda?
Did we do what?
H.
Oh, no, I'm going to come up to it.
Okay. For the minutes, if it's okay, I'd like to defer the minutes because I think there's something added to the minutes that actually wasn't discussed. So I was trying to review the last video, but it's kind of hard to listen to both at the same time. And I think there's like websites and stuff that was added to the minutes that was never announced. So I just want to go back and check if we could defer it until January.
Hey, Charmaine, this is Jeffrey from the NA. Would you be able to clarify where on the minutes exactly that miscommunication was? Just so I can mark it down on my end.
It's on the mayor's report.
Okay.
There's all these websites that I don't think were announced.
Are you referring to the one Oahu and the government jobs?
And the second one, yeah. I think actually what he said is that there was a fair, and I want to report on the newsletter. We're not, you and I just had discussion about the minutes, right? So you can't just add stuff. But before I had that discussion, I wanted to confirm.
Okay.
So
The oneoahu.org/newsletter, that's the online, or that's the link to view the mayor's newsletter online for those that are attending through WebEx that can't, or ones that weren't here in person to receive a physical copy of it. The government jobs, like how you said, was a fair that was being offered.
yeah, so the minutes are a reflection of what happens in our board meeting. So if it's okay, I'd like to defer and go back and check and make sure that, because I actually seen it before one other time and I don't remember it being said. It's a reflection of what we actually do, not what we wish could be done. If it's okay to defer it and do it in January, since, we're setting a precedent that we can just add stuff to the minutes.
Okay, that is really fine to defer it. Just one thing before I hand it over back to Chair Verre. Just to clarify for members of the board as well as members of the community. So in total for the NCO, we do a draft of the minutes. So we try to submit a.
Right. That's why I'm asking to defer. We don't actually have discussion. I'm well versed in it. That's why I'm asking to defer it because that's part of our board process, Jeffrey. Thank you so much.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank Charmaine. Charmaine, can you hear me? It's on. Okay, Charmaine, thanks for bringing that up. And we just push it to January. I don't see an issue with that. Board members, any objections that we go ahead and defer this based on what our vice chair is recommending? Okay, we have a motion? Okay, don't need. Okay. All right. Thank you, Charmaine. All right. Last thing is I accidentally skipped over in our agenda under board business number H. And I've got special requests from Mr. Jaden Liu, Elaine Funikoshi. I want to get Cruz Vina on our Traffic and Transportation Committee, which I chair. And also, if he could be on the LCIP for legislative. Are there any objections of these non-board members being part of our committees?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So as an elected body, we are not permitted to add unelected people to our committees. Now, give our sunshine. So if these committees are going to meet by law, submit a agenda, public is aware 6 days in advance that they can attend. Given that these members are members of our community and the public, they are free to attend meeting they wish. They do not need the board's permission to attend any committee. By this board making a suggestion that we can vote to add them, suggests that we have the power to give them voting ability, which
Yeah, the only reason I'm saying that, Brendan, is the sunshine, the neighborhood plan states that for committees, if they're going to, if for each of the committees, if they want to bring in the public, the board has to approve those individuals. That's in the neighborhood plan. And you want to,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, you're gonna have to explain this to me. So the neighborhood plan says that we have to vote to allow community members to attend a public meeting. Oh, okay. So I think I understand that. So we have a public charter that gives us an exemption to the Sunshine Law that allows community members, I see Charmaine give me a thumbs up, that allows community members to be a part of a committee. Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Chair. I rescind my point of order. Thank you.
if there are no objections, okay, we'll bring these valuable contributors. And some of them are also former board members. So I'm glad they're still tethered in some way. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. We went 22 minutes over from my objective. But lastly, the Pearl City Neighborhood Board 21 will recess in the month of December. I owe it to you all to give you a break. And we're going to do it again in June next year. Our next board meeting will be hybrid, virtual, in person here, Momilani Community Center. Great place. And can't promise it won't be raining. But January 23rd, will be our next board meeting at 7 o'clock. And of course, anybody wants to watch us, we're on Alelo Focus Channel 49 on the second Saturday at 6 p.m. and on the first and third Fridays at 1 p.m. So from the Pearl City Neighborhood Board, we wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe, Happy New Year. Thank you all. This meeting is
Merry
adjourned.
Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you.